Tyrese Caldwell's drives never wavered, whether under the blistering sun of municipal courses or the cool dawn mist of coastal fairways. By sunrise on tournament day, he had already warmed up with a perfect 16-stroke drill on the practice range. Every swing crisp, every trajectory true. He'd spent weeks preparing for the Willow Ridge Country Club Invitational, a prestigious pro-am open to top regional amateurs. His invitation tucked in his inbox like a golden ticket. At 8 a.m., Tyrese pulled up to the club's cobblestone entrance, the polished gates reflecting the first light. Members clustered on the veranda in collared shirts and visors, their chatter punctuated by the distant clink of a brass bell signaling the tournament's start. Tyrese checked his confirmation email once more. Welcome to the Willow Ridge Invitational Tea Time, 9:15 a.m., player number 24, and strode confidently to the marble-topped reception desk. Good morning, he began, voice steady as he presented the email on his phone. The clerk, a young woman in a crisply pressed uniform, studied the screen, then shifted her eyes to the empty sign-in roster. Mr. Caldwell, she said, clearing her throat, I'm very sorry, but I don't see your name here. She tapped the keyboard, brows knitting. This tournament is limited to club members and their invited guests. I believe this invitation went out in error. Tyrese's chest tightened. I received this 2 weeks ago from tournament headquarters, he replied, forcing calm. If there's an error, I'd like to resolve it now. He handed her the official tournament PDF, complete with its embossed club crest. The clerk's eyes darted to the morning's lineup sheet, every slot filled by member names he recognized from past leaderboards. Sir, she repeated, voice small, I'm afraid we can't admit you. Behind Tyrese, a foursome of white members, silks of pastel polos and white slacks, glided past to applause from the veranda audience. One glared at Tyrese as he passed, lips curling into a smirk. Tyrese's gaze followed them onto the manicured fairway, the emerald grass glowing like a forbidden treasure. His practiced mind flashed through every possible concession. A mailing mishap, a misprinted list. Yet the clerk's apologetic shake of her head and the unspoken barrier in her posture left no doubt. He was not welcome here. Tyrese pocketed his phone and turned away from the entrance, his perfect swing frozen mid-glove snap. The gates clanged shut behind him, a final punctuation mark on their discrimination. As he walked back to his car, the sky overhead brightened. But his resolve burned hotter. If Willow Ridge would not let him play by their rules, he would rewrite the course and force them to admit that talent and character belong on every fairway, regardless of who holds the membership card. Back in his home garage-turned-training bunker, Tyrese Caldwell reviewed the morning's rejection with cold focus. He'd wallowed for a heartbeat until the fire in his gut rekindled. If Willow Ridge wouldn't welcome him, he would make them recognize his name on the leaderboard no matter what. He pulled out his phone and texted 3 trusted allies: sports agent Marisol Vega, local TV producer Dean King, and fellow competitor Malik Thompson. His message was simple: locked out of Willow Ridge Invitational, despite official invite. Let's turn this into the story of the year. Meet me at Pine Hills Golf Course at 11 a.m. Within minutes, Marisol called back, voice crackling with excitement. Let's get you national coverage. We'll call every sports desk in town. Dean texted a meeting spot by the clubhouse camera tower. Malik, his fiercest rival, offered. I've got an opening at the Pine Hills Pro-Am. Tea time at noon, slot available if you want it. By 11 a.m., Tyrese stood on the rolling fairways of Pine Hills, his entourage of media and supporters in tow. Dean raised a cameraman to capture the morning light. This is Tyrese Caldwell, top regional amateur barred from a private course despite a confirmed invitation. Flashbulbs popped as Marisol intercepted local news crews, feeding them the raw details of racial exclusion at Willow Ridge. On the 10th tee, Malik handed Tyrese a borrowed Pro-Am badge, clipped to a lanyard emblazoned Pine Hills Invitational. Tyrese nodded in gratitude, then sank into his compression sleeves and gripped his driver like a torch. Reporters clustered behind the ropes as he teed up, the distant skyline framed by rolling pines and the glint of microphone reflectors. At noon, Tyrese launched his first drive down Pine Hills' signature Hole 10, a 420-yard par 4 notorious for its tight fairway and punishing bunkers. The ball soared on a perfect trajectory, landing 15 feet from the pin. Cameras swung to capture its arc. Reporters whispered, "Unbelievable form." On the 18th green, Tyrese read the putt for eagle, a chance any player would covet. He stroked the ball through the break. The crowd hushed as it rolled true. The ball dipped into the cup with a crisp click, and the gallery erupted in cheers. Flashing smiles and fist pumps rippled through the onlookers, and Dean's camera zoomed in on Tyrese's triumphant grin. Within hours, the story had exploded across sports networks and social media. Locked out, then lauded, Black golfers Eagle puts discriminatory club on notice. Back at Willow Ridge, board members scrolled through their devices in stunned silence, the headline glaring like a spotlight on their bias. Tyrese's friends and foes alike shared clips of his eagle, pairing each shot with calls for Willow Ridge to honor their own invitation and apologize for their closed doors. As oak trees draped in twilight shadows swayed behind him, Tyrese Caldwell stepped off the green, his name echoing in every broadcast. Discrimination couldn't keep him off the course. Instead, he'd turned their refusal into the clearest invitation of all, for Willow Ridge to change, or watch their prestige defined by the talent they pushed away. By late afternoon, Tyrese Caldwell's eagle on Pine Hills had gone viral. Sports networks clipped the shot, ball gliding past bunkers, plopping into the cup, as commentators marveled at his flawless mechanics under pressure. Social media feeds overflowed. Why was this guy barred? Invite him back. Open the greens. Inside Willow Ridge's oak-paneled boardroom, 5 board members, each a lifelong club heir or prominent member, huddled around a mahogany table, faces taut with alarm. At the head of the table, President Bradford Sinclair slammed his fist on the polished surface. "This has gone from a minor embarrassment to a full-blown PR crisis," he growled. On the conference screen behind him cycled live tweets. One read, "Tyrese Caldwell just schooled the elites. Now let him play." Board member Elaine Pierce cleared her throat. "We can't ignore the optics. If we don't retract our policy and apologize, sponsors will pull out and membership renewals will plummet." Sinclair ran a hand through his silvered hair. "Fine. Call an emergency meeting. We'll reinstate Caldwell's entry, issue a public apology, and review our invitation process." Word of the board's decision leaked to the press. At 6 p.m., the club's official Twitter account posted, "After review, Willow Ridge Country Club invites Mr. Tyrese Caldwell to participate in tomorrow's tournament. We apologize for the oversight and commit to fair, inclusive policies going forward." Within minutes, headlines splashed across local news sites. Discriminatory ban reversed after golfer's viral triumph. Club apologizes to Black prodigy Tyrese Caldwell, from exclusion to invitation. That evening, Tyrese received an unexpected call from Marisol Vega. "They've opened the gates, Tyrese. They want you back tomorrow." His pulse quickened, not with triumph, but with quiet satisfaction. He texted back, "I'll see them at dawn. Let's make sure they keep their word." As dusk settled over the club's iron gates, Tyrese walked the perimeter, under glimmering lanterns. In his pocket lay the club's apology letter, its formality now hollow unless backed by real change. He knew tomorrow's tee time was more than a second chance. It was his leverage to force Willow Ridge to rewrite not just an invitation list, but their entire approach to equality. And come sunrise, he'd hold them to it, one perfect swing at a time. At 7 a.m. sharp, Tyrese Caldwell pulled into Willow Ridge's lot under a pastel dawn sky, the club's apology letter tucked into his golf bag. Reporters and camera crews lined the driveway, their lenses trained on the gates as they swung open for him for the first time. A hush fell as he strode down the path, caddy at his side, t-shirt now replaced by a crisp collared polo and tailored slacks. Inside the grand clubhouse, President Sinclair greeted him at the door, clasping his hand with solemn respect. "Mr. Caldwell," he said, voice steady, "on behalf of Willow Ridge, I welcome you back. We will honor every promise in our apology." Sinclair gestured to Elaine Pierce and the rest of the board, faces wary, eyes on Caldwell as if seeing him anew. Tyrese nodded once, then proceeded to the first tee, where a gallery of members and media waited in reverent silence. As he addressed the ball, he felt the weight of history, bars, biases, and broken promises lift with each breath. He drew his driver back in a smooth arc and sent the ball flying down the fairway. Applause rippled through the crowd as it landed pin high. On the par 3 fifth, Tyrese faced a 180-yard shot over water. The murmurs grew. Could the man they once excluded show them how to conquer their own course? He gripped the club, centered his stance, and struck cleanly. The ball arced like a white comet, landing softly 10 feet from the cup. The gallery erupted, members clapping and cheering as Tyrese tipped his cap. At midday, Tyrese approached the 18th, tied for third place, and moments from sealing his legacy. He surveyed the tree-lined fairway, then read the green for the final birdie putt. Cameras clicked as he bent low, exhaled, and stroked the ball through the break. It rolled true, dropping in with a decisive clink. As the gallery surged forward, President Sinclair stepped onto the green, extending a trophy engraved Willow Ridge Invitational, 2025. With genuine warmth, he placed it in Tyrese's hands. "You've shown us what real sportsmanship and skill look like," he said. Tyrese looked around at the applauding members, some nodding contritely, others offering broad smiles. He raised the trophy high, then addressed the crowd. "Thank you, but remember, golf is about more than medals. It's about the open fairway, the respect we give one another, and the rules that guide us all equally." As confetti fluttered in the spring breeze and cameras flashed, Willow Ridge's gates stood open behind him, no longer symbols of exclusion, but of a community transformed by the courage of one golfer's swing and the unity it inspired. The Monday after his victory, Willow Ridge's normally hushed corridors buzzed with energy. Bulletin boards once reserved for member notices now displayed notices of an Equity and Access Committee, complete with meeting times and volunteer signups. In the locker room, Tyrese Caldwell's name and photo, once absent from any club roster, hung proudly next to the club's champions of years past. By mid-morning, Tyrese was seated in the grand boardroom alongside President Sinclair, Elaine Pierce, and 3 board members newly appointed to the Equity and Access Committee. Sinclair cleared his throat. "Mr. Caldwell, you've not only won our tournament, you've opened our eyes. Today, we finalized the reforms we pledged." He unveiled the committee's first charter, wildcard invitations. 10 slots in each future Pro-Am will be reserved for qualified non-member players from underrepresented backgrounds, selected by a blind skill-based lottery. Member Diversity Scholarship, a fund to subsidize entry fees and initiation dues for promising junior golfers of color, administered in partnership with local youth programs. Open access practice hours, daily community tee times during off-peak hours when non-members may play for a nominal fee, fostering broader engagement. Tyrese leaned forward. "These are strong first steps," he said. "But let's also ensure every staff member and member receives inclusion training, so the culture truly shifts, not just the policies." His suggestion drew nods, and Elaine Pierce jotted it on her tablet as mandatory cultural competency workshops. Later that afternoon, Tyrese led the inaugural community tea time alongside junior scholarship recipients from the city's Boys and Girls Club. As he coached 14-year-old Maya on her grip, club members stood by the ropes, watching and applauding her tentative swing. Cameras for the local news captured the moment. A black teen sinking her first par 3 putt on a course that once barred her presence. In the clubhouse cafe, Marisol Vega interviewed Tyrese for a regional sports magazine. Marisol: "Tyrese, you've gone from outsider to ambassador. What's your message for other clubs?" Tyrese: "Talent thrives anywhere. Fairways can be mowed. Golf's greatest beauty is in its openness. Let's make that literal." By week's end, Willow Ridge announced that its membership application would be overhauled to eliminate legacy-only admissions, replacing it with a point system valuing community service, skill, and commitment to club values. The club's storied past, framed photos of storied members, grew new additions, snapshots of Tyrese's eagle at Pine Hills, Maya's first putt, and the moment President Sinclair turned the club's keys over to the Equity and Access Committee. On Friday evening, the first equity mixer filled the ballroom. Members, non-members, board members, and junior scholars mingling over hors d'oeuvres. Amid laughter and newly forged friendships, Tyrese caught President Sinclair's eye across the room. Sinclair raised his glass and mouthed a silent, "Thank you." Tyrese returned the smile, knowing that the real victory lay not in the trophy he held, but in the open doors and transformed hearts of Willow Ridge Country Club. Spring rolled into summer, and Willow Ridge's rolling fairways bore the proof of real change. On a sun-drenched Saturday, Tyrese arrived at the club's inaugural Wildcard Invitational, the tournament born from those 10 equity slots he had championed. Stands lined the first tee as 10 non-member qualifiers, amateurs from community programs, stepped up alongside club stars. Tyrese, serving as honorary starter, raised his voice over the announcer's mic. "Today, we tee off not just for trophies, but for opportunity. Welcome to the first Wild Card Invitational, where talent, not pedigree, writes the scorecard." His words echoed across the Emerald Fairway as the starter's horn sounded, and the underdog amateurs unleashed their drives to thunderous applause. Throughout the day, low handicap members cheered on scholarship kids sinking unexpected birdies, and reporters captured every smile, every high five. In the afternoon haze, Tyrese led a coaching clinic at the practice green, demonstrating bunker shots to a circle of wide-eyed juniors, offering grip tips to mid-skill golfers. Club pros who once eyed him askance now watched with respect as he coaxed perfect sand saves from novices. Between swings, he reminded them, "Golf is a game of grace. Embrace every chance, every challenge." As twilight painted the sky in pink and gold, the final group, 2 club members and 2 wildcard invitees, approached the 18th green neck and neck. When amateur finalist Jasmine Carter, a 16-year-old from the City Rec Center, tapped in her winning putt, the gallery erupted. Tyrese jogged forward, lifting Jasmine's club trophy high. Her grin brighter than any medal. That evening, the club's annual gala honored Jasmine and the other wildcard champions, alongside Tyrese with commemorative plaques. President Sinclair took the stage to announce the Willow Ridge Junior Scholarship Fund, seeded by tournament proceeds and Tyrese's own championship winnings. He dedicated the fund to ensure every aspiring golfer finds fairways open and futures limitless. As chandeliers glittered overhead and champagne glasses clinked, Tyrese stood quietly at the edge of the ballroom, watching families laugh, club members mingle with their new junior peers, and Jasmine's mother wipe proud tears. In that vibrant moment, when every swing, every policy, every hard-won victory converged, he knew that Willow Ridge had transformed from a closed enclave into a genuine community. And his eagle putt, that singular act of defiance, had turned locked gates into open invitations for generations to come. 5 years after Tyrese Caldwell's exclusion, Willow Ridge Country Club had become a model of inclusivity across the region. On a crisp autumn morning, Tyrese returned, no longer just a guest, but director of community engagement, to preside over the grand opening of the Caldwell Community Wing, a new clubhouse annex named in his honor. Under a ribbon of burgundy silk, flanked by equity scholars and board members, President Sinclair handed Tyrese the ceremonial oversized scissors. As cameras clicked, Tyrese cut the ribbon and stepped through to unveil the Equity Lounge, where members and non-members alike could network, share equipment, and plan community tournaments. The Junior Academy Studios, offering free year-round coaching to underrepresented youth, complete with indoor simulators and video analysis suites. The Open Play Terrace, where daily community tea times were bolstered by rotating pro demonstrations and adaptive clinics for seniors and differently abled golfers. Inside, a large portrait of Tyrese's championship eagle shot at Pine Hills hung above a display of the club's reformed bylaws, etched in glass, to remind all who entered of the moment when one putt ignited systemic change. Later, on the 18th green, now renamed Caldwell's Clink, Tyrese led a ceremonial tee-off with his son Malik and scholarship recipients from every decade since the reforms began. As Malik's ball bounced true toward the hole, Tyrese shared a final thought with the crowd. "Golf taught me that every swing counts, and every door should be open for those who dare to play. Thanks to your courage and willingness to change, Willow Ridge is no longer just a country club. It's a home for every golfer's dream. Cheers echoed across the rolling fairway as Tyrese and the next generation sank their putts together. In that golden light, where once he fought for entry, Tyrese saw a living legacy, a community united by respect, fair play, and the knowledge that true excellence arises when prejudice is left off the scorecard. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, Willow Ridge stood at last, a course rewritten forever.